Hello, fam, and welcome back to another edition of George's Corner. I'm your host, George Lee Jones. Let's get started. I'm kind of excited today to talk about this subject, and I'll give you the title of it right now. Would you prefer nourishment or nurturing in your life? Again, would you prefer nourishment or nurturing in your life? I'll explain. Nourishment is food or substance that promotes growth in your body, giving you health, strength, life. Nurturing is the support and encouragement of such said life. Okay? Think about that for a second. Nurturing is the encouragement and the support of such said life. Now, I won't make this tricky. I'm not going to even make you do either or. In my opinion, I'd rather have both, and here's why. If you have the nourishment, your body will grow. That's a fact. However, I'll give you a story of a study that was done a few years back using primates. And no, I'm not calling anybody out there a monkey. I'm just saying, follow this study. They took a group of baby monkeys away from their mothers and they put them in an enclosed environment. And what they did was they took some wire and created or sculpted, whichever way they wanted to place it, and they turned these sculptures of wire into fake monkeys, but they put bottles within this wire frame so it looks like the wired monkey had milk to nourish these baby monkeys. On the other end of the room, they had this monkey that they had constructed, and they put fur around that monkey, and they put some heating coils on it so that monkey would be warm. Now, they set the baby monkeys loose and quite honestly found something very interesting. Very few of the monkeys actually rushed over to the wired monkey holding the bottle for the milk or nourishment. The majority of those monkeys ran over to the monkey that was created with fur and heat because of the nurturing. Now, what they found at the end of the results of this was the monkeys didn't get quite the proper nourishment that they should have gotten through food, but because of the nurturing of what they felt, the warmth and care come from this quote unquote fake monkey, these monkeys actually grew. And so, with keeping that in mind, it made me think about something with respect to people. And that's why I came up with, would you prefer nourishment or nurturing? Follow me here. And this, I want to talk to parents who have children. Yeah, you go to work every day. You provide for your family. You give them food. You give them clothing, shelter, whatever the case may be, so they'll grow. Now, it's not saying that they won't grow, because they will. However, if you take that same process of nourishing your child, but also giving it that nurturing, that child will grow in ways that are immeasurable. Case in point, I was thinking about some of the activities that go on with some of our young men who will get, as we call it, rather mannish, get beside themselves, cause trouble, join gangs. And the reason that occurs is, and I thought about this after talking to a few people, as you know, particularly if you're a single mom, you're raising, let's say, a bunch of boys, okay? Let's call it what it is. You're raising a bunch of boys, you're providing for them, you're giving them the nourishment. However, that one key factor that could be missing is that nurturing. Now, I'm not calling anybody a bad mother. I'm just saying, follow me. If that same kid, regardless of how many jobs you have, some of you have 2 or 3 jobs, after feeding that child, give that child a big hug. It takes less than 10 seconds to do. And you'll be surprised of how psychologically that affects the mind of that child. Not only are you nourishing that child, but you're showing that same child support and encouragement through your hugs. Now, even if you didn't get that as a child growing up, it made me think about this. You can nourish yourself now, without a doubt. Most of you have jobs, you can go and eat whatever you want to eat. However, what I've discovered is lacking, and this is a story I'm going to tell you that my neighbor said to me I'm not good at writing notes, but my neighbor left a note in my mailbox saying, hey, thank you for taking our trash cans back on trash days. You've done it numerous times, and we wanted to say thank you. And I didn't think of it as a big deal. I thought of it as something that was just neighborly to do. So I told the husband, I said, hey, thank you guys for the note. Of course, he says, I have no idea what you're talking about. He says, my wife must have written that note. I said, no problem. Tell her thank you. And of course, I knew it probably slipped his mind, which it did. A few days later, I ran into her as I was pulling in. She was on her way out. And I said, hey, I just wanted you to know I'm not good at returning notes, but I wanted to say thank you for the note that you left. And she says, oh, no problem at all. She says, we come in and we see that the trash cans are already taken back. And I said, well, my schedule is a little different than you guys because my days are erratic. I have appointments at different times of the day and so forth. And this couple work your typical 9 to 5. So it was no issue. I said, just again, being neighborly. And she says, well, I grew up with neighbors and the community knew each other and so forth. But no one, that was when I was a kid. I don't really experience that now with people that I've lived near as an adult. She says that kind of thing is sort of gone to the wayside. I said, well, it's gone to the wayside because no one pays attention anymore and no one shows basic human or humanity, as it were. And as she stood there for a second, I realized something. I said, you know what's missing? Community. I said, we no longer have community. I said, when I was a kid growing up, in the neighborhood, all of the families knew each other. All of the parents knew the kids. And if you were acting up, the first thing that comes to mind, Miss Johnson would say, or Miss Jefferson would say is, hey, aren't you so-and-so's kid? You know better than doing that. If you do that again, I'm going to call your daddy. I'm going to tell your mom. And you straighten up right away. The problem has happened now is that everybody is so isolated that we no longer have community. And she looked at me and she stepped out of her car and she walked over to me and she said, you're absolutely right. She says, but what could change that? I said, the simple activities of conversation that we're having right now. I've taken care of something as simple as bringing your trash can back. You can do something as simple as do the same or do the exact same for someone else. I said, that's community. Get to know the neighbors in the neighborhood, even if it means going out of your comfort zone and knocking on their door and saying, hey, just want to say hello. I live across the way and we've never been properly introduced. I'm so-and-so. Who are you? I'm not trying to be intrusive, but just want to let you know I am your neighbor. The reason, again, I'm going to go back to why I said nourishment and nurturing is that we need to start showing support for one another. That's the reason that a lot of us are dying from stroke and heart attack and all kinds of diseases way before our time is because we've lost community. We've become so isolated and trapped in our own worlds that the only thing that matters is self-preservation. However, if you join or you allow yourself to be part of a collective community, that's when you can have your, I call it release of your valve system. Meaning whatever's gone on in the course of your day, you get home, you know your neighbors, you can say, hey, and I'm not saying complain or commiserate. I'm saying just express a simple, basic thing that all humans need to do is their feelings and emotions. So think about that for a while when you go home and you close your door and you isolate yourself away from the rest of the world and you go, wow, I made it home. Yeah, you made it home, but who's there? Is it just you and your natural environment and you have no other participation in the world at large? That's isolationism. Come back to the community. We miss you. We love your input. Again, I only speak on things that I think are going to help people see things from a different perspective. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but just look at it from that way. Nourishment or nurturing, or as I say, I don't like or, I like and. So I want nourishment to feed my body, and I want nurturing for support. And here's what I mean by that. Again, before I go, you don't have to be a part of whatever that individual is trying to do, because maybe it's not your wheelhouse, but support their endeavor, support their efforts. Because I bet you, whatever you're doing, you're going to want someone to support you. That's all I have to say right now. Nothing else is coming to me. And as I said, without divination, I cease to talk. So, with that, love yourselves, be great and kind to others, and oh yeah, always, always be learning something new. Love you. This is George from George's Corner as always. We'll be talking again soon. Peace.